Hello, Happy New Year and welcome along to another episode of this FM20 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's Season 3, Episode 4 and today we're back for a massive moment to start the new year. It's a pretty unexpected one, I've got to say. I wasn't thinking this was going to happen even an hour before recording. We're back much earlier than the York game as planned, and you know why the reasoning for that is. We've got a job offer to move for the first time, our first one since joining Kettering, our first club, and it's a pretty big one as well considering some of the ones we've been rejected for. I really am impressed we've been offered this job. So we'll get to that in a moment. We'll build a little suspense first. We have got to talk about Kettering as well, how we've got on there, wrap up our time at the club, and also talk about the games we've played off camera, as that's still been part of getting us to the next level. You can see we're still up in second place. We've been doing really well on the pitch. We're 7 points clear of the playoff places, but realistically we were never going to catch York, who were 13 clear at the top, and as a result I had to think about moving on, just to make sure we didn't get hung up as someone who couldn't get promotion. We've seen how unpredictable the playoffs are, having lost to the 4th place side Telford last year, and when the job came up that we applied for and got the chance at, it was just too good for us to turn down. But firstly, before we go and look at all that in an action-packed episode today, a massive thank you to everyone who continues to support the series as we move into the new year now. I really do appreciate it greatly. If you're enjoying the series and looking forward to seeing us move club for the first time, please do put a thumbs up on the video. It makes such a difference to the channel performance and I really do greatly appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe for daily FM20 content from my 2 long-term stories. This one, The Head Coach, where we've got our job offer today, and we'll be managing the first match at our new club in Saturday's episode, and then tomorrow we're back with Dorking Wanderers. We got our first game of the season in that one as well. But if you want to have a guess, let me know down in the comments where we're going to be heading to. Not even necessarily what club, but what league do you think we've managed to get? Of course, you saw at the end of the last episode we applied for lots of National League and League 2 jobs. I can tell you it was none of those clubs there. It's one that came up quite recently and they decided on us very quickly, and despite being rejected for lots of jobs in the meantime, we have now had at least a few interviews. But let's get Kettering out the way first. We've got to talk about the games we had off camera. You were with me last for the away win against Hereford. It's been pretty decent form since then as well. The one disappointment was a defeat at home to Halesowen, a pretty tired squad, and we weren't at our best. Hassan Ali got one back in the second half, but it wasn't enough to get us into the game. We then won 3-1 away at Boston. We've been brilliant on the road. James Morris with a brace and McGill scoring 2. Gabby McGill's come into brilliant form in the last month, and it's a shame that it's come just as we're leaving. Away to Southport, he got a goal as well. Terrell Igbury getting the equaliser first. Caleb Richards with an own goal, so we scored all of them in that match, but it was another 3 points well earned. And then a 2-2 draw away to Spennymoor Town. 2 goals for James Morris, the prolific striker. He's been brilliant and we wish him the best for the future. Hopefully he can guide Kettering to playoff success. We then won 3-1 at home to National League side Stockport, that in the FA Trophy third qualifying round. They were playing a reserve side, so we can't get too excited, but a strong performance from our first 11 there. And then we finished off with a 2-0 win against Warrington. Gabby McGill with a brace there. His second goal was a screamer from 30 yards, the perfect way for us to sign off at the club. We leave just before a really difficult month of fixtures, so you could argue we got out at the right time. We're away to 3rd place Darlington today, our home to leaders York in a couple of weeks too, and Barrow away's a pretty tricky trip as well, so I'm glad we've not got to go through all of that. The other good news with Kettering, of course, they have let us go through and get another coaching badge. They funded the National A licence, and I'm a little bit sad now because it doesn't feel like we've earned it, but it is going to help our reputation moving forward, and I'm sure our next club will help with the rest of them. I hope there's no spoilers on this screen. I haven't looked too much. I think as long as I don't hover over the bid, I'm alright. So let's go and have a look at the squad we finish with. Just say a massive thank you to all of them. We've got a really good squad and the club's in a good position now. I really think they can compete for the playoffs, and remarkably our under-18 assistants manager, he's managed to get a job at Billericay in the National League now, so it just shows how well our coaches are regarded and what a good team we've built on and off the pitch. Of course, we can't take the credit for that bit as our director of football is in charge of transfer staffing and contracts, but he's done a really good job in this regard, and we've got a good side when we leave the club, and we know we're leaving them in a better position than when we joined. So that's Kettering Town. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of our stint here. They made it difficult for us at stages, particularly the start of the second season. We had loads of youth players in the squad who fought for every point we got, and then we built this brilliant side towards the end of last year, and our director of football has continued to improve on it. But that's irrelevant for us now. We've got a job offer we've got to go and consider, so I'm going to take you to the inbox to show you who it is, and I think you're going to be as surprised by it as I am. So here we go, we've been approached by FC Halifax Town. Doesn't look like the biggest club on paper, but the thing that surprises me is they're in League 2, and we've been interviewed and rejected for a host of National League jobs. So Barnet, Harrogate, Hartlepool, just 3 of them. Shamrock Rovers over in Ireland gave us an interview too. But FC Halifax Town, a League 2 side, have come in for us, and they've given us a chance to join them this season. 1.5-star reputation, fighting for survival in the EFL. They're 23rd in the relegation zone, but just 3 points away from safety. The likes of Swindon and Tranmere there, much bigger clubs they're competing with. It's going to be a really difficult challenge, but it's an opportunity we just can't refuse. They've got a few players that we recognise from our other series. Lewis Lomas, who features for us at Dorking, he's a breakthrough prospect for them, a backup defender, although he has started nearly every game this season. We'll go and meet the rest of them in a minute though. Let's go and deal with this job offer first. Professional contract, of course, for the first time, a massive step up for us too, and it's up in Yorkshire, an area of the country I love, so I'll be more than happy to go and move over there. They've got some interesting club culture statements as well. Their vision's very interesting. No signing players over 30, making sure they try and sign players under 23. Of course we're reliant on our director of football to do that. Nothing changes at the new club. They're in charge of all the transfer staffing and contracts. We'll go and make sure that happens immediately. They've got minimum 2-year contracts on for first team players, which suggests we're going to have a pretty steady squad to work with, and they're trying to sign young players to sell for a profit, hoping they can develop them into superstars. They're trying to get rough diamonds in, and I'm guess making them better, something we're quite looking forward to. And don't be fooled, although it says they're fighting bravely against relegation, we said in the interview that we'd keep them up. It's probably part of the reason they've given us the job, and we're now going to have to deliver at least 22nd place. So let's start the negotiations, just try and eke a little bit more money out of them. We're going to try and get up to 25% for promotion, and again reduce the wage drop for relegation as well. We've got to try and keep that money in. We want a little bonus if we avoid relegation, maybe a slight bit more on the contract too, but I've got to be careful here. I don't want to lose the opportunity. They're a really good club offering us a really decent job. So let's see if we can get away with that one. There we go, we've managed to do it. We're getting £100 a week in our basic wage. We've got a bonus if we manage to stay up, as we've said we would, and we're keeping a 25% wage rise and drop, so hopefully we won't have too much effect if we go down. I'm not sure what their position is in the FA Cup and Leasing.com trophy. We'll go and have a look at those in a minute as well. But let's finalise the deal and officially join Halifax Town. We'll be back in a moment for our introduction to the club. There's the breaking news story then. On match day as well, Kettering paid 16 grand in compensation, so to be fair, Halifax must have wanted us quite a lot, and that's a really good compliment to us joining the club. An exciting moment for us to move into professional football and the Football League in just our 3rd season as a manager. So let's go through these screens and meet the squad. The media predictions for them to finish bottom. We've got an assistant manager but no director of football, so that's the first thing we're going to set our chairman to do. But a big capacity ground, decent facilities as well. They're not going to get much out of the youth recruitment, but they've got decent training facilities for this level. They were of course founded in 2008 after the financial troubles of the former club. They were playing in League 2 back then as well. But they're back in the Football League and developing really nicely, and we'll be hoping to take them on to the next level. I'm really excited about this job. I can't tell you how interested I am in it. It's quite an intriguing one. It could go wrong of course, but I'm really looking forward to it. We've got a squad personality that's fairly professional, some decent players in there as well. Danny Lloyd, the number 10, Dale Southwell up front, both recognisable Football Manager names. Jacob Hansen at right back, he was a good player at Derby in previous years, and they've got a couple of people on loan for the next month as well, so I'm really interested to go and meet this squad. I'm hoping there's a few bits of gold dust there. We've got the current club vision, not sure why it still says fight bravely against relegation. We've said we're definitely going to stay up, so we just have to see what happens when we move over. I think we'll still get sacked if we go down. So on to our inbox then, and we can immediately see what the problems are. Interestingly, we finished with a 44% win rate at Kettering. Not bad for that club at all. We were fighting relegation the first season, so that's pretty remarkable, and the loss percentage is really low too. But this side come into it with 7 games without a win, down into the relegation zone. They're going to be low on confidence and the morale's going to be poor, so that's something we've got to try and rebuild at the club. They've got loads of players in the last year of their contract, including a lot of the stars at this club, and hopefully they'll get in a good director of football and he'll make a bit of a difference to that list. Playing time expectations, we've got a few different ones in here. A lot of young players expecting some football now. We'll go and meet them them in a minute and see how good they are, otherwise we'll rely on our director of football to sell them. The competition expectations, we fight bravely against relegation. I presume by the looks of that we're out of the FA Cup. They lost in the FA Cup to Barnsley, no real surprise there. And in the leasing.com trophy, they got 2 wins in the group stages, and they've got a big game coming up against Preston. That'll be our second game in charge in 3 days' time. We're going away to Chesterfield in just 5.5 hours. That'll be our first game at the club in the next episode, so on Saturday make sure you come and join me for that, as I'm really looking forward to getting going there. I might of course change that once I've seen the squad. I might be a little more apprehensive at that point. We'll deal with the media press conference and all the backroom advice in a minute, but let's just finish by meeting the staff and squad. We've already seen we haven't got a director of football, so we'll go and set all of the responsibilities in a minute, but we have got a good assistant manager at the club, Kane Rice, who's pretty poorly rated actually. He's wanted by other clubs as well, so I'm not sure if he's going to be moving on, but he's decent enough to do a job for now, although he's not an ideal candidate long term. The other 2 we need to look at are the head of youth development, also a coach at the club as well. Poor judgment of ability and potential, though very good working with youngsters, so he'll probably have more impact as a coach than a head of youth development, and I won't expect too much from our intakes. And then finally the chief scout is an important man, and his former Premier League keeper Stephen Bywater. He's got good stats actually for ability and potential, 11 on both of those, and I'm hoping he'll be able to bring us some good players when working under the new director of football. So that's the staffing. We'll go and set all the responsibilities off camera. You know how it works by now. We do nothing off the pitch. We have no say in transfer staffing or contracts. The chairman will get a director of football in to do all of that. And once that's done, we'll gradually get built a squad on and off the pitch. And we'll have to go and look at them as they join the club. But let's go and have a look at the squad here. And it's a pretty poor one in terms of quality. A lot of 2 and a 2.5 star players. Only 1 or 2 real bits of gold dust. So we'll go and meet some of the key players at the club. And then the first choice we're expecting in each position. So top of the list at 26 with 4-star ability and potential is a left winger who we're going to call Junior because we can't pronounce the last name. He's a decent Nigerian player, just over £1,000 a week he's earning at the moment, and he's one of those with a 2-year deal as well, so one that we potentially can build a side around. He's a right footer who cuts in from the left, can play decently as a winger on the other side too, so he's going to be a tricky young winger, good physical attributes and works pretty hard, though technically he's lacking in a few areas, but a fairly professional player and one that we'll want in the side, still the best at the club at the moment, and looking at his stats that doesn't bode too well, as he was probably just an average League 2 player. Isaiah Jones is next. He's 20 years of age, only on loan for the next month at the moment, 3.5 star ability, 5-star potential, almost an identical player in terms of attribute balance. I'm not quite sure why they've got both of these in. He's a decent young winger again, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to do much for us. Only here for a few more games, so he probably won't contribute too much. I don't want to build a side around players that won't be here, although we haven't got many other options on the wings. Third is Liam Nolan. He's a central midfielder who's wanted. Linfield want to sign him. That's because he's a Northern Irish former under-21 international, 3.5 star ability, 4-star potential, formerly of Accrington, now over 100 appearances for Halifax, and a really solid midfielder, just pretty decent across the board. Next is Dale Southwell, the striker. Many Football Manager lower league players know him. A really good player at 28 years of age now, 3.5 star ability, 3.5 potential, £2,000 a week he's earning. We got some big earners at this club, but he's a decent pressing and advance forward and can run in behind and finish pretty well too. Last of the 3.5 star players is Nick Cerula, the left back. Cypriot, 22-year-old, he's an international player too. Top earner at the club on £2,500 a week, and although he's a pretty decent player, he certainly doesn't deserve to be earning that much. Came through at Tottenham, had a loan spell at Brentford, now he's moved on to Halifax Town. He's been playing games for them and doing okay, but I'm a bit worried that he's earning that amount of money. But either way, a decent player should help keep us up. We've got a few good 3-star players as well. Danny Lloyd, an experienced 30-year-old, can play on the wing or as a number 10. He can play off the right as well as an inverted winger, just starting to lose his physical attributes now, but still got that little bit of quality technically, so if we can find a role for a number 10, he might be the one that goes in that position. A decent player, not the best trainer, but someone we can try and work with. And then Lewis Lomas, the familiar name, he's developing well as a centre-half. He's obviously featured quite heavily in our other save, many of you will know him quite well already from that one. Only on £650 a week and the best rated centre-half at the club, and at 21 years of age he could improve further, and he looks like he's got a young partner as well. Ed France is a 22-year-old, he's got 3-star ability, 4.5 potential, a left footer which balances quite nicely, a ball-playing defender who's better on the ball than he is defending. That's a little bit of a concern, to be honest. Centre-half certainly a bit of a weakness, but there's not much we can do about that at the moment. Then at right back there's two that are decently rated. Jacob Hansen, the first one at 24 years of age, 3-star ability, 4.5 potential, again one of those rough diamonds they're trying to develop. He can play at left back as well, which he may well be doing for now. A pretty decent young defender, good physically and mentally, though not the best in a tackle, and that's my only concern for him at the moment. And then Michael Duckworth's the more experienced man. He's again 3-star ability, but at 29 years of age he's at the other end of his career and a much more solid player, having got the years of experience under his belt. My concern is the lone goalkeeper's injured, and that's for 7 weeks as well. 2.5-star ability is not the best anyway. The other goalkeeper is Sam Johnson, and in fact he'll do a job for now actually. That's not a bad bit of work for us, on £425 a bargain too. The only other real standout I can see at the moment is Sam Smith, the experienced target man. 30 years of age, 2.5-star ability, but I always love a target man who can just win flick-ons. He looks like the sort of player that will do that well, likes to play shots as well. So if we're looking to try and nick a goal late in games, he could be a really crucial player off the bench. So there are a few bits of quality here. I did miss out Jack Earing as well, sorry. 3-star ability central midfielder, 4.5 potential at 22 years of age. Looks a really decent pro alongside Nolan and should do a job for us in the middle of the park. So plenty of promising signs here, though the squad probably isn't good enough to stay up on its own, so I'm hoping we can get a new director of football in, work a little bit moving forward on getting signings. Of course we'll have no say on that, so we'll be crossing our fingers. We've just got to try and get off to a good start. Let's see how bad the dynamics are at the moment. The managerial support's average actually, and us joining the club seems to have had an effect, as the dressing room atmosphere is now up to average. We'll keep an eye on the team leaders that we've got to keep happy. The likes of Duckworth and Southwell will be starting anyway, and I think all of those 4 highly influential ones will be in the squad, so there's certainly not going to be any problems there. But there's some really good players at this club at the moment, and we've just got to try and develop them to reach their potential. I just want to very quickly look before we finish. Have they got anyone good in the under-18s? I doubt it at this stage, to be honest. They haven't. Only 1-star ability centre-half. No one with really high potential either, so it's going to be an interesting challenge for sure. But that's our introduction to Halifax Town, our new club and our first job change of the career so far. There are a few other decent players who are in there, a few with 2.5-star ability. If we play anyone that we haven't introduced so far, we'll meet them in the next episodes as we do so. Hopefully we'll have a director of football in a couple of days' time, maybe for Monday's episode after a month or so at the club, and fingers crossed then they'll be able to get busy in the window, just a month until it opens, and then we need some big January signings. But I'm pretty impressed with this squad. I'm really pleasantly surprised that we've been given the opportunity. After being rejected for clubs battling relegation in the National League, I never expected to get a League 2 job, and it's going to be a very tough task to keep them up, but I think there's enough talent here that we can find a way. We just need a few additions in January. If we can keep them close to the line by then, I'll be happy, and then we can get rid of some of these youngsters out on loan. Hopefully our director of football will help that anyway. But if you did enjoy this episode, meeting the new team for the first time, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments what you think of the job change. I'm really baffled that we've got a League 2 job. Maybe it's just more for me because we've been rejected by clubs in the league below. We even got rejected for some National League North clubs, but I'm interested to know what you think of it. For me, I think it's a really big step. If we can keep them up, it could be a brilliant start to our career, really could take us on to bigger and better things. But for now, I'm just looking forward to getting going with Halifax and being a manager up in the EFL. So let's have a look at the schedule for the first game. It's away to Chesterfield in just a few hours' time. That will be Saturday's episode as we take a look at the club for the first time, see what we've got to work with. Chesterfield down battling relegation as well, just 6 points above us in 18th place. Then after that we've got a big month, and we've got Tranmere at the start of the January window as well. They're right down there in 21st place. Swindon at the end of January too, they're down in 22nd. So there's some massive games coming up in the next few episodes, and hopefully some new additions on and off the pitch. Let me know in the comments where you think the weaknesses are, what standard of director of football you think we can get, what you think they'll do once they join the club. Hopefully having a decent chief scout will help, but I'm sure the budget's going to be pretty limited here. We didn't have a look, the wage budget's just over, not much transfer budget either, so that's going to be a little bit problematic too. They're going to need to get people out on loan, and we're going to be reliant on someone who may not be good enough to do it, and that might mean we're trusting the players we've already got. We've got 2 players leaving their loan deals at the start of January. We know they're going to have to be replaced too, but of course that's all yet to come. We've got to get through this tricky month of December first. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel for daily FM20 content from my 2 long-term stories. We had a transfer special in our Dorking save last time out, and we're back with the first game of the season tomorrow in that one. And then on Saturday we'll have our first game from Halifax Town. We'll be taking charge of their game away at Chesterfield, and we'll see just how big the task is we've let ourselves in for. Hopefully we'll get a pleasant surprise. But a massive thanks for watching this one and joining me as we found our new club. I really hope you're as impressed with the move as I am, and I can't wait to get started in the next episode, and I hope you'll come and join me for that one.